That was better.
Well, here we are.
Another week,
another episode of the podcast that we have to rush because we're running behind.
Oh, right, and this time it is not my fault as it has been. I think it was last week was my fault or the week before that. But now this time it's not my doing.
Well, it's not my doing either. It's just I had a busy day, a busy Friday. Everyone who's watching this, by the way, hello, I'm Pioneer Peru.
And I'm Trailblazer Nick.
And this is Pioneers and Trailblazers. And literally right after this, we're going to watch Drag Race. And literally right after that, we're going to be doing our first Instagram Live, Town Hall Live, Friday Night Live, Bright Lights, Big City.
Obviously you're listening to this, it's already happened.
Yeah, so hopefully.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you for coming. That was so much fun.
And if you didn't show up, I totally understand.
Well, listen, and it's so funny because, I was trying to think of, the best way to go about it. Should we do, a YouTube Live or, Instagram Live? Instagram seems for me, to be the more, the most accessible one. You can just pull up and go in, whatever. You don't have to, look for it.
And I'm banned from going live on TikTok, so we couldn't do it on there either.
Wait, what? Oh, yeah. Because of your content?
No, I was, over the pandemic,
I should turn on the light, actually, but continue.
Back in 2020, it was, the summer of the pandemic. I was home with my parents and I would go live frequently just because that was the start of my following really kind of growing, and I was I had reached 10,000 followers or something, and I was I'm gonna go live. And
before your fall.
Before the fall from Grace. And then I would do these lives where I would be sewing, and I would just prop my phone up and then just talk to people while I was sewing, just
not sewing.
Well, because I was really into.
What a Nick thing to do.
I was
people are cooking themselves a smoked salmon tartine. They're organizing their clothes. Nick's full on sewing.
No, I'm fully making a full look that I'm gonna photo shoot later that day, which I did. I really did. I was really in my model bag that era. But then anyway, I would tell stories. So it would just be story time hour while I would sew, and then enough people I guess reported it for. I was reported for pornography, and I got a warning or something, and then they canceled my live, and then I went live again, and I was fuck these haters, went live again, and then same thing, got another strike because it was pornographic images, and I was I'm sorry, is it just because I'm sitting there looking so gorgeous and beautiful? If you think that's pornographic, that's on you, mama.
That is so funny because if if this were I don't know a couple of years from now when we're on a I don't know, those things where people do out of the two, guess who? So if we're ever doing a trivia thing where people are guess who got a band for pornography, people would probably think it's me.
Oh, 100%. And mind you, I was fully clothed the whole time. And then I got the notification that I was banned permanently, and I'm not allowed to appeal it. I wasn't allowed to appeal it. They didn't give me the option. And so now, but I think it was for the best because then TikTok lives went really popular last year because of that one girl, Pinky Doll, where she was ice cream so good, yum yum. And then now everyone is on it, TikTok live peddling for money, which is honestly really depressing to watch. So I'm grateful that I never had the opportunity to even try that, because I think that would have been an embarrassment of riches.
I am permanently suspended from Twitter, or I guess X, formerly known as Twitter.
What did you do?
It's nothing, and I keep trying to appeal, and my appeals keep getting denied and whatever. But I didn't do anything. It's just I wasn't using it at all, and it got hacked. So my
how did it get hacked?
Just by spam, So my X account just became hacked, and people were just
But why would someone want to hack you? How many did you have? A lot of followers?
No, so I think it just.
Did you click a link or something?
Maybe, and then it just got hacked, and it was posting cash money prize dollar, and I was making those posts, and and a few of them were just hot girls, big tits, hot girls, big tits.
Literally describing me. That's why I got banned. I'm a hot girl with big tits, big giant jugs. Yeah. On International Women's Day, no less.
Oh my God! Happy International Women's Day!
Oh, and speaking of just real quick,
all the girls.
No, and just speaking of, I love women, but I did encounter two women today on the train that made me question how deep my support goes.
Oh no!
Because today on the train, first of all, I was on the train up here. And it was like kind of busy, but there was only one person. There was two of us in this like long seat because like on the A, like you either have like the blue seats, you know, or you have like the orange and yellow ones. I was on a blue seat train, and it was just like the long row. And I'm sitting near the like kind of divider, and then there was one woman near the door on that side of the seat. And then so there was ample space between the two of us. Like both, like she was tiny, I'm slim. Like there's space. This older woman.
Nick says that literally after a few days ago, I called them American sized.
No, and not a few days ago. It was literally yesterday. One of our coworkers was like, "Oh, there's a sample sale that I like heard of. Like, Nick, I think you'd be really interested. I'm gonna send you the information." And then Peru goes, "Oh, that's perfect. Like, Nick, you'll fit into those." And then she was like, "Oh, it's not just sample size." And he goes, "No, American sizes." And I was like, "Excuse me, what are you trying to say?" And then you were like, "Well, you're just, you know, broad." And like all American and like big,
which is very true. If anyone who's a townsperson who is under 5'7", like, well, and also like if you like present as male or whatever your identity is. Today, I really have no brain for gender politics on this podcast. So
just whatever you want to be.
Please allow me to just say, if you're a man, and you're under 5'7", you understand the trials and tribulations that having to dress yourself, I guess, according to how you want to dress. Because, like, I can imagine, actually, you know, for all... I don't want to go out on a limb and defend straight, white, cis men who are conservative. But
no, but that you love them, though.
But I'm about to.
God.
Because I can't imagine, you know, like, I'm very lucky to be, you know, like, a very, like, a petite person or whatever. And I mean, I like to call myself skinny fat because, you know, like, there's fat in this body. You just gotta sleep with it to see where it jiggles. And so... Okay. I'm just saying. But, like... I've always like loved...
And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way.
No, please, if your body jiggles, please comment down below if your body jiggles, please.
Girl, my body be jiggling.
My body be jiggling. Get jiggy with it. Get jiggly with it.
Jiggy Caliente. Drag race. Gay Guy Friday. Anyway.
So I came to terms with the fact that like I at one point dabbled in like the young teen section, you know, when I was in high school. Like I dabbled in the young section. I was like, I'm stalking children. I'm not.
Girl, be careful what you say next.
I was just going to the young section at Target because they make some cute stuff, and like they're like young adult like size 16 would fit me perfectly, and I'm like, oh my god, like these things like fit me well, and like they're also cheaper. But as I grew up, you know, I became much more comfortable wearing women's clothing, or I'm putting it in quotes, women's clothing, because
more feminine presenting.
Yeah, feminine presenting clothing. But also, guess what? Clothing is literally just fabric, so just wear whatever the fuck you want. You know, yeah. Like don't. We can talk about this if you want.
Well, I just want to real quick. This just reminds me. One time in college, I was home for the summer, and I was at Goodwill, and I was shopping. And when I
say college, one more time.
What?
You can say it was NYU, everyone.
Okay, well, I was in college at the time. I was college age.
We've had this discussion. I don't consider NYU a college. NYU is a university.
Which is a college.
You make it sound like you went to CUNY.
Okay, anyway, I was back home for the summer. I was
from university.
I was 19, 20 or whatever. I was at Goodwill. Mind you, when I shop in both the men's and women's section. Like, obviously, like I wear like this top I'm wearing is women's clothes. Like I
mostly wear women's clothes.
Yeah. Like I truly like no gender with my clothing here. But then there was a worker at Goodwill who would follow me around, this like woman, and she was like, "This is the women's section," and I was like, "Oh, I know." And then she goes, "Yeah, the men's section is over there." And I was like, "Oh, I know. I've frequented this establishment before, sweetie. I know where everything is.
And you know it's down the hall.
I'm just taking a look." And then I'd like pick up like a top, and she'd be like, "That's a woman's top," from like across the aisle. And I was with one of my best friends, and the two of us would just like look at each other, and I was like, can you like leave me alone? I was like, I don't need help. I was like, girl, I'm good. Like, I don't need any assistance. I'll let you know if I need help. Mm-hmm. And she's like, I just want to let you know. And I was like, girl, we know. So anyway, that just made me think of that. But
that is wild. Like, I've never Well, I don't know.
But it's the Midwest. Like, it's, I mean,
No, I mean, let me tell you, I've experienced my fair share of, like, micro queer aggressions. But I will say I've gotten so happy and comfortable. And I also find, I do find, like, women's clothing lines much more interesting than men's lines. They always look the same.
I like a masculine shape, but I like a kind of it. Like through a feminine perspective or lens.
But even specifically speaking, tailoring wise, I love a masculine fit, but tailored to a woman's body.
Yeah.
That meaning, women's bodies run in a smaller frame, and also, like obviously there's women of different sizes. Listen.
Well, and women's pants fit me better because I have huge hips.
Oh, and I love high waist too. So like I literally like 80% of all my clothes at this point is just women's clothing, and I love that. And how did we get here?
I was talking about how the train. I have to finish my story about the train.
Wait, I was going to make a point about women's clothing.
I don't know. I don't remember. Yeah, International Women's Day.
International Women's Day.
So love women, but I hate this one on the train. Because, so like I said, so
I remember.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
No, please.
The point what I was trying to make is that I can't imagine for like a conservative white, straight male who like is not a piece of shit and just a regular person who like is like my under 5'6" or under 5'7" and finding clothes that fit them properly, because like I don't know if I don't know. Like they're not gonna find like blaze, suits and whatever for work like in the women's section, because I also women's sections don't really carry like two pieces as much as they would do like dresses for work. Does that make sense? So like sometimes
it depends on the collection and where you're shopping.
Depends on the collection, but I mean, at the end of the day, I'm just saying like I am very fortunate to be able to like fit in women's clothing.
So I was on the train being just like tiny and slim and skinny, and this other woman who was on the opposite end, this woman gets onto the train for one stop. She comes and she sits down. Doesn't sit in between us, sits right up next to me like this. And basically is touching me, like her body. There is a huge gap between her and this other woman. Do I think it was racially charged? A little bit, because the woman on
racially charged. Because she didn't want to sit next.
Because I was the only like white person on that seat, and she was a. Had a complexion of mayonnaise as well, and she.
Good one, Nick. Good one.
Thank you.
I saw you writing it in your head, in your brain, and I'm
I was like, can I say this? I was like, can I say this?
Mayonnaise.
Complexion. Anyway, so then she sat right next to me, and then like literally, and I tried to scoot over to be like to hint at her like you're too close. Mm-hmm. Didn't do a single thing. Like I was up against a little pole, and then she like. Just stayed where she was, like just sitting around, didn't no thought in her head, just like sitting there, whatever. Mind you, there was this huge gap between her and this other woman, and I'm like, what are you doing? And then I look across from me, and there's another woman who was wearing a pair of clogs, and she
great start.
No, but the thing is she had slipped her feet out of them. wasn't wearing socks, and her beat up, bruised, like snaggle nail dogs just sitting out on the train for everyone to see. And she is like sitting and she's like leaning and like falling asleep or whatever, and I'm like, girl, that looks like a crime scene on your feet. Like those are blistered and bruised, baby.
This is a person with a job, I guess we can say.
Yeah, I mean, she looked like she looked
like she had a home.
Yeah, she looked like she worked in like an office.
Oh, that's gross.
No, and like literally like, and the shoes were cute. I was like, girl, I get like your feet hurt, but please, I don't want to see that or smell it. Why are they out? Why are your bare feet out on the train? Don't. I love and support women, but you're making it so hard. You're making it so hard for me.
No, that's nasty. That's just, like bad, and people do that on the airplanes too. When people take their feet, my girl, this is not your home. Anything that you do at home, think twice before you do it in public transportation.
No, literally, it's like there's other people. We're locked in a metal tube.
Yeah.
A metal canister that is speeding underground. What happens if we get stuck? Girl, there are windows, yeah, sure, but we are underground. That air is not fresh.
No, not fresh.
And you want to stink that shit up with your dirty, crusty feet?
I thought yesterday when on my way home, I actually took the train, and this guy, I hate it when people just put their backpacks on the seat, thinking no one's gonna, sit there.
I do that. But as soon as someone comes near, I do pick it up and put it in my lap.
No, I hate that, and you're being trash, and here's why. Because then you're just waiting for somebody to, like, gesture at that. You could just put your backpack on the fucking between your legs. The seat needs to be available for people visually to see this an open seat. You're actually making people do the work to ask you to fucking move your backpack.
No, you don't even have to ask. The thing is, you can just start as soon as someone just starts walking in the general vicinity of the seat. I will then gesture with my backpack and put it on my lap to be like, oh, hey, I'm making space for you if you would like to sit.
Oh, so wow, so generous of you, Nick. Wow, making space for somebody who takes public transportation.
And guess what?
Majority people of color and women. Wow.
And guess what?
Wow.
More often than not, when I do that, and I think the person's coming to take a seat, they don't sit.
Yeah, because they're like, I don't want to sit with this fucking selfish bitch ass.
That's not what they're thinking.
Bag.
That's not what they're thinking.
That's what they're thinking. And yesterday, this guy was doing the same thing. And like lately, I've been doing the thing where like I do it politely, but yesterday I was so tired that I literally just went towards the seat and I literally started sitting.
That's what I do. I don't even ask.
And then the guy was like, oh, I moved it. And then he was pretty annoyed. And then I was just like, no. And I was just like, bleep, bleep, bleep,
no, that's what I learned. No.
Yeah.
See, the behavior, the reason why is the behavior that I learned in middle school. I know, honestly, since elementary school, riding the public school, like riding the bus to school every day, because the bus system in my hometown, I went to Catholic school, so it was like there weren't a lot of people that like took the bus at my school because it was a really small school. So we used the public school systems, like public transportation, and so which also like the bus every morning, 3 to a seat. On that bitch, and then people would be having their bags on their seat, and mind you, these kids, my neighborhood was next to a manufactured home community. For those who don't know, that's a trailer park. And those kids, ruthless, like literally.
Oh.
So the amount the thickness of skin that had to be built to be like, move your bag for that bitch who has started fist fights on the fucking bus or whatever. Or like when I like got a pair of over-the-ear headphones, like my first pair when I was in 8th grade, and they were neon orange, because at the time orange was my favorite color, and I had orange everything. I was obsessed with it.
Wow.
And I felt so cunt with these like over-the-ear orange headphones. And I remember the first day that I wore them on the bus, someone goes, "Nice headphones, faggot." And I was like, thank you. I know. And then I remember
headphones faggot title of it.
No, literally. But honestly, like, you could not tell me shit. I took so many selfies with those headphones, and I'd be like I was in the studio, Mariah. I was like, ooh.
You were Ashley Simpson. Like, no, oh my God, misunderstood.
I was feeling my oats. I was like, you can't say anything that would get to me. But anyway, that's why when I'm on like public transit, like I truly like nothing phases me, because like I dealt with that from like an early age. So girl, I watch people fight. Anytime something happens on the train,
I jerked off a guy in a school bus.
I'm sorry, please elaborate on that.
No, it was how
does that come about? How were there other people on the bus?
Yes.
Was it full?
No. So this was, I'm pretty sure, and I actually can't recall who it was, because I've always first and foremost been, say it with me, a huge slut.
And you've been always into and on.
Always. No, actually, surprised. No, I know that I knew the person. But I
really not enough to remember the name.
No. But I remember it was like a trip in which we were returning back. Like it was
field trip.
It must have been a debate trip or another kind of trip in which we were
a fellow debater.
In which I believe so. Or actually, this may have been even in Peru. I don't remember. Was this in debate or in Peru? I just remember distinctly. I was sitting next to a guy. We were returning back from a trip. And it was dark, and the school bus. No, this was America, because it was a school bus. Yes, I didn't take the school bus in Peru. It was during high school, and we were returning
in Texas.
Yes, we were returning from a trip, and I'm sure I'm not making this up. To anyone thinking I'm making this up, and we were returning the bus. We had like 10 people in the bus or 12, whatever, and it was all scattered, and we were just in the back. And I remember distinctly, like we like had some flirtation. And then I sat next to him, and like he opened his like zipper of his pants, and like I put my hand in there, and like I started like like caressing it and whatever.
Did you even have like a conversation about it, or was it just kind of like?
I think like it was just it just happened spontaneously, and then it just so happened that like there was nobody next because we were towards the back of the bus, so there was nobody immediately next to us, but there was two rows up. There was like a couple girls over there, and then everyone else. And so I don't even know. I think I probably ended up in the back of the fucking bus with him because like we probably had chatted about it. Like we made it an intention to sit towards the back, and then I remember clearly, like when you're driving down the highway and like it's like dark and then like a highway light, like light. Yeah. And I remember like the light will illuminate, would flash on me, like jerking him off, and he definitely came, and he came on my hand, and I remember because it felt like
What did you do with it?
It felt like
you just wipe it off your pants.
I think he had something in his backpack, but. If I remember distinctly the feeling of him coming, because he like he jolted, he was like, and I was like, ah! And then I remember like it feeling like dripping like ice cream, melted ice cream, like 15.
Oh my god!
Yeah, that's old.
No, but like I lost my virginity at 16, but like even then that was like a huge moment for me. No, but like in middle school, no, this just makes me think of so when I was in middle school. I became friends with like the kids, like the older kids in my neighborhood because my sister is 2 years older than me, and so she was like the same age as these older kids that lived in the neighborhood. Like,
you jerked all your neighbors off?
No, but there was this guy on the bus, and his name was Sebastian, and he was so fucking hot to me. Like he was a bad kid. He was like he would at the time like swearing was like so like. Oh my god, I can't believe it. He would be like, fuck, and say like dick and like shit or whatever. And he'd talk about his dick all the time on the bus. And the bus driver would like yell at him and be like, no, and he had a crush on my sister. And he like was really into her. But then sometimes he would like be kind of like flirty with me. But I think it's just because he liked, like, I think he could tell that I was like interested. And so I think
he was just baiting you.
Yeah, he was just like baiting me.
Girl,
but
you don't want to get Matthew Shepard.
No, but the thing was, is like he wasn't like homophobic. Like the thing was like, he was like, weirdly enough, he was like very chill because like the other people on the bus were very also like somewhat progressive. Like I remember like one time, I'll never forget this.
Okay, progressive, but
no, I'll never forget. Well, I'll never forget it. Like I was like, there was a moment where I was reading The Fault in Our Stars in 8th grade, and I remember like it was.
I say this with so much love. You're such a nerd.
No, I know. I would read on the like. I read it. I love reading. I love reading.
No,
so
I
much.
love reading, but just an 8th grader reading The Fault in Our Stars in the school bus.
But listen to this. But listen to this. I was in 8th grade, and then this fucking sophomore who was not this guy Sebastian, but a different one, who I thought was like really cool, and I thought he had like really good taste. He looked over to me, and he was like, "Oh, that's such a good book," and I was like, "Oh, thank you." I was like, "Thank you."
You were
as if I wrote it.
Yeah, but you were like with your glasses, like, "Oh."
No, and then literally the following week I finished The Fault in Our Stars, and then I started reading another John Green book, Paper Towns, and then he's like, "Oh my god, like another good one," and I was like, ah! I was like, yes, okay, validation, we needed it, girl. It was John Green, like literally, like stand up. But anyway, what was I going? Oh, but this guy Sebastian, yeah, he would kind of bait me, and I was just like, oh, I wanted to suck his dick so bad. He would like make jokes about it to me, and I'd be like, haha, ew. But like deep down, I was like, let me do it. Let me suck it right now.
You're like hiding your boner. You're like, no.
No, there were multiple times where, and then my sister would be like complain about him, and she'd be like, he's so gross, and I'd be like, yeah, he's fucking nasty. I want him to fucking fuck me.
Listen, if you're a townsperson that has a puss, let me tell you. There is, like, of course, there's so many things that, like, for people with vaginas or whatever, it's just, like, we'll never know what it feels like to, like, give birth naturally. Like, there's so many things that, we won't know.
I want to give birth so bad.
Me too. So, actually, to be honest, it's, like, the ultimate narcissistic move. It's just, like, come, look at me, push this fucking human out of a fucking vagina.
Oh, I don't want people to look. I don't want
people to know about it. Listen, all jokes aside, like, I would be that annoying mom talking about their kid every fucking day, because I would be like, yeah, I want to talk to you about my kid.
Oh, I'm gonna be obsessed with my kid. When I adopt, it's gonna be like, it's over for you bitches. That's all I'm gonna be doing.
I'm gonna be like, my little kid's gonna have like a Ramones t-shirt, like Iron Maiden. I'm gonna be like, oh my god, my baby's so crazy. My baby loves rock and roll.
Vintage.
But wait, what were we talking about? Oh my god, we're crazy all over the place today.
You were saying puss. If you have a puss.
If you have a puss, you will never understand the the gymnastics you have to do whenever you get a boner in public and like you're wearing something that's revealing of the boner.
Oh, and the thing was, is that era of my life only would wear skinny jeans.
Oh,
so girl, it was tight, and you would see that little boner, just pushing through.
So let's talk about your boners. When you get hard, do you get like hard up or you get hard down? Because like, you know, do you let your dick like in your underwear, like is it flopping or is it pushed up?
Like kind of like up to the side.
Oh, to the side. So then when you get a boner, like it starts like saying hello, and then it goes up forward. Because some guys are like,
well, so like the way that my dick curves, it just goes straight out. Like I don't have a curve to it. There's like no curve to my dick. It's just straight. Yeah, it's just straight out.
Yeah, mine too. And it's so funny because like I've met, you know, from sucking so much dick and cock, like you start getting to know so many different kinds of dicks, and like there are some guys whose dicks start getting hard while they're still, you know, like in sleeping motion, you know. So like for visual learners, if you're watching me what I'm doing with my hand, some guys' dicks like in their underwear are literally like this, you know. This is their resting pose, and then then when they start rising, then it starts going like that. And like I can't imagine, and that's usually with guys who are like quote unquote more hung, you know, because like the dick's literally hanging.
Sure.
And if you're a grower and not a shower or whatever, then like I guess it's different for you. But for me, like some guys I know are able to keep their like half chub or like the half hard dick like down, and they could just press it down. With me, mama, oh, as soon as I get fucking a boner, it's bling and it's all the way up and it hurts. I cannot push it down, and so like I have to like hide my boner like up against the waistband of my underwear, you know, because it's like so up. So like here's my dick, and like I have to like press it down with the underwear. Sometimes I even have to like press it down with like everything. Oh my god, it's like, oh my god, hiding a boner is like the most.
I haven't like had like a random boner in public in like a really long time.
Loser.
No, but I will say I used to get them all the time in church. Like especially in high school, because when we would have mandatory mass like during the week, because at the time, like I think like my memory of like when it would happen the most was when I was a sophomore, and it was like when I had my torrid love affair with the foreign exchange student from Prague. And like we've
discussed this. I think it's episode 2 actually.
Man who I lost my virginity to. Anytime like we would be like, because he was like one of my really close friends.
Wait, so that's so funny. So sorry to interrupt you again, but it was so funny because I wanted to like, we were talking about virginity, and like we talked about you losing your virginity. Did we talk about it in detail?
I mean, not really. I mean, you're not gonna probably agree that it's like losing my virginity in terms of like the way that.
No, yeah, you told me. Yeah, you guys, you sucked his dick, right?
I sucked his dick, but I count that as like losing my virginity just because I did, like, it was, first of all, the first sexual thing I'd ever done with a person before, and I did have this moment afterwards where I felt like different afterwards versus like the first time I had anal sex.
Because it was your first gay experience.
It was my first gay experience.
Let's put a pin on your first anal experience. We'll get back to that.
Well, the first anal experience, I really don't, I like really don't remember it because I was like.
You were drugged?
Like, I don't know. It's like, okay.
Wait, is this a moment of honesty on the pod?
It's a moment of honesty, but like at the time,
a second?
No, but like when I told it to somebody, they're like, oh, well, I told them about the time I sucked dick or whatever in the closet, and everyone was like, they're like, okay, but when was the first time you had anal sex? And I described like what happened, and I was like, yeah, like it was a guy that I had hooked up with a couple of times before, and then the next thing I know, like we were smoking weed, and like I had gone over to his apartment drunk, and then like I had told them the story of like what happened, and afterwards they were like, girl, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, what do you mean? And they were like, I think you were taken advantage of. And I was like, was I? I was like, oh.
Wait, do you want to talk about it or no?
I mean, it's yeah, I can. Like, I don't have any like, I don't know. But basically, it was this guy. He is a former guitarist to a pretty big musician.
Oh, you did tell me this.
He was a former. So anyway,
yeah, yo, I don't like this story, but it's your story to tell.
Sure. I mean, at the time, I didn't see it as an issue, and I guess looking back, I'm like, oh, I guess I could have like advocated for myself more. But at the same time,
he was older.
Yeah, he was an older man. He was in the band for a very prominent musician who is still going on tour these days. I think he's still in the band. But anyway, he was like a really kind of like grungy, kind of like gross dude.
Oh my god, let's air his ass out.
But he was the first person in New York that like I had ever hooked up with. Like he was the first dick I sucked post foreign exchange student. So I was like, okay, we're back. I was like, we're back in the game, bitch. But I had like been hooking up with him consistently for almost like a full like school year by the time that this happened. But it was like the last night of, it was like literally like the last night of classes before finals started, my freshman year of college. And I went to my department's end of the year party. I got fucked up out of my mind. Like I was so drunk. And then afterwards I was like, I want to have sex. Like I was like, I want to hook up with somebody. I want to suck a dick. I want to do something. So he had texted me and I responded and I was like, you're going to have me over tonight, right? And he was like, yeah. Like come over. So I got an Uber. I went to his place. He smokes me out and he was like, so I got so high. I was so crossed. And so we were like hanging out in his bed, and I would, every time I go over, I'd like sleep over and stuff. So like I just like kind of fell asleep. The next thing I remember is like I'm kind of like coming to, and next thing I know, like he's like putting his dick in, and I was like on my back, and I was like, oh, I was like, I didn't like douche. I didn't do like anything. I was like, okay. And the next thing I know, we're having sex. And then I was like awake for some of it. And then I fell asleep during sex. And then, and then I woke up the next morning and I was like so hungover. I felt like so awful. And so then I was like, you need to call me a car. And so he ordered me an Uber, but didn't tell me he had ordered an Uber pool. So I was still kind of high like the next morning. And so when the car comes to pick me up.
What did he say? Did he make small talk? Like, did you guys like just chit chat, or was it just?
Yeah,
like,
okay, I didn't say anything. Like I didn't. Personally, at that moment in time, I did not feel like I had been taken advantage of or violated. I was just like, oh, I wasn't expecting to do this tonight, but okay. That was kind of like the vibe that I...
But that was your first time too.
Yeah.
So then...
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I was fucked up. And like, yeah, it's bad and like, whatever. And well...
I mean, in hindsight, it's not that you could have been like, oh, I guess I'm doing this today. You had never done that.
Well, I had never done it before. And
so,
that's
like,
also...
not even, let alone douching or any of the particulars. It's just that you just had never had sex.
Well, and in my mind, because I was so fucked up, I do remember thinking to myself, I'm like, girl, if you want to try that, go ahead. Like, I don't think it's going to work. So I didn't think it was going to, like, you know what I mean? And I was like, oh, I'm like, honestly, I'll probably just poop on him and we'll call it a night and then we'll go to sleep because I'm tired. But then that didn't happen, girl. So, like, anyway, the next morning, he called me the Uber pool. He walked me down. I said bye. And then I got into the car. And then all of a sudden, the car goes to the side of the road and like parks. And I go, this isn't my dorm. This isn't like my address or whatever. All of a sudden, the door opens on the other side. Someone gets in and I'm like, ah! I was like, who the fuck are you?
That spooked you. You're like, oh.
I was like, and I said, oh, so not only did this man drug me and take advantage of me, but he can't even afford to get me just a regular standard Uber. He's gonna Uber pool his cheap fucking ass. And then I didn't see him again after that. Like, that was the last time I saw him.
What
But
band was it? Okay, we're back.
But anyway,
we had to cut.
No, but they had a Vegas residency. That following year, because I remember the last time I'd seen him.
Which year was this?
This was when I was 19. This was like 20. This was when I was 18. So this was 20. No, sorry, 19. This was 2018. So then they had a Vegas residency.
2018. Townspeople, research which artists had Vegas residencies in 2018, and then you can narrow it down.
But I think the residency was 2019 because he was telling me like, oh, like this is in the works or whatever. And then when I came back to school, he like wasn't there anymore because he did the Vegas residency because he was gone from New York. Anyway.
Well,
long story short. Anyway, listen. If you're ever in my position, I'm just saying I'm fine. Like I've had a lot of worse things done to me post that. So like, trust and believe we're fine. But
okay.
If you're ever in that position and you don't want to do something with somebody, please make it known.
Say no.
Say something. If you're uncomfortable, if you whatever, just like make sure that you establish your boundaries, making sure that like everyone's having a good time, because if not, that's not okay, and learn from my mistakes. And not necessarily my fault, because obviously I'm not gonna victim blame here.
No, we're not gonna victim blame you. You were just being a girly.
I was just being a girly, and I was just like, you know what? But after that experience, to circle back to what we were talking about, I didn't, even though I had a dick in my butt, when he put it in, I was like, oh, like, that's all. I was like, this just feels like I'm taking a shit. Like, I've had that feeling before. I was like, girl, this is nothing new to me. Versus when I sucked dick for the first time, I was like, I'm a different person.
Yeah.
I was like, I literally went home. Sat at the dinner table, and I was like, can they tell? Can they tell that I look different? That I'm an adult now?
Comes dripping out of your mouth.
Like, literally, I was like, oh my god, they're gonna know. They're gonna
smell me. I famously lost my virginity to two guys.
We talked about it. We talked about it on the
when
pod.
I was 13, Miguel and Christian. It was great. But after that, when you're saying like something that was meaningful or whatever, because that was just like sex, you know. And since I was 13, let me tell you, I've been able to separate sex and romance.
Sure.
The first time I had a romantic sexual experience, I was 16, and it was with this guy named Tuan, who was in JROT.
Tuan or Juan?
Tuan.
Okay.
Tuan.
Oh my god, there was a really famous Viner named Tuan back in the day.
Well,
was it him?
You'll have to whatever. But
I have to show you a picture of him. He's your type, not mine.
Oh, great.
You know Lele Pons?
Who?
Lele Pons.
Sure.
You don't. But anyway, he was like really. They would collab all the time. Anyway, for those who were in the Vine era, you know.
I hated Vine.
I really loved Vine. I wanted to be Vine famous so bad, and then it never happened, and the app got ended, and then sure enough, girl, the next one that comes around was my time to shine. TikTok. And now I'm like, fuck TikTok.
And now you're like, TikTok.
No, I'm like literally.
Where
like,
are you happening again?
No. They literally like are announcing that like they want to do another bill that's like gonna ban TikTok in the US, and I'm like, finally. I was like,
yeah.
I was like, thank God, honestly, for the best.
Time.
For the best. I've moved on.
Too much harm.
I've moved on. I've outgrown it.
Yeah, to what? To this. Yay!
Yay! And also my other artistic endeavors.
Yes, which
anyway, you were fucking Tuan.
Yeah, no, well, I guess I was fucking Tuan, and I remember like clearly it was the first time like it was like we're planning sex. It was like the first time I ever planned sex. Like, okay, it's like you're gonna sleep over. My mom's out of town. You're gonna come over to my place, and you're gonna sleep over. You're gonna bring a JROTC uniform. Like he had to like hang it up because you had to wake up like at 6 a.m. the next morning to like go, because if you're in JROTC, like you have to like do that, like you have to march in the morning.
That's
or whatever.
the army thing.
Yeah. And
that's crazy. In high school?
Yeah, I know. And so he was like, he like came over, he drove, and like he like, it was like, hi, like it was like so funny because it was like we knew we were gonna have sex, and like so like he hung his clothes, he like had pressed them and whatever, and I felt like I was feeling so fish when he came over. I was like, oh my god, I'm like a housewife, like I'm hosting my husband. Like I was
were your
like,
parents home?
No, I told you that my mom went home. My mom went out of town.
Oh, okay.
So I was alone for like one of the very first few times.
Your mom left you home alone?
Of course.
My parents would never.
Really?
Oh my god, no.
Because they knew you would fucking fall to pieces.
No, they just like, my parents were helicopter parents. They just like would never leave us alone. Like if they ever went out of town, like my grandma would come into town and watch us for whatever, or we would have to go with.
Really?
Yeah, we were never allowed to be home alone unless it was like for a couple of hours. But like if it was like they're gonna be like gone for an extended period of time, oh, that was never gonna happen.
No, yeah, I've stayed alone. And so he came over, and it was so funny because I remember like he didn't have like the biggest dick, unfortunately, but like,
well, for like having sex as like a young person, that's probably a good thing.
Well, at that point though, no, after having Christian and Miguel at 13, I was like, oh, this is a good dick, and then I was like, oh, like, all right, cool, you know. I was like, here I am in America thinking I was gonna fucking like,
you're like size queen.
No, though, because I was thinking, you know, I've watched so much American porn in Peru that I was like, yes, I'm in America now, so I'm gonna get so much white cock. Anyway, but it was fine. It was nice. And then he like, does it feel good? He brought like a flavored lube, I remember, and I was like, flavored. And then we slept together, and then he woke up early to go, and I remember he changed at my place, and like I really felt like like an army wife, because then like I said goodbye to him like at the door. He was like
in a bathrobe,
and I was like with my glasses, I was like, goodbye.
You're shivering. You're like,
I'll see you guys. Please
be safe.
Be safe.
Write to me when you can.
Johnny and Mikey are gonna be waiting for you.
Stay strong for them, okay? And for me. Wait, that actually like is so crazy though.
And it was kind of cool. It was kind of sweet. But then like after Tuan was like the only experience I had sexually in like in high school that was like a romantic one. Everything else was just like, you know, just like slurping dick and cock and whatever. Like it was never like romantic.
God. See, I didn't have like the opportunity because like also I was on Grindr in high school, which I obviously shouldn't have been, but like.
Oh, we talked about that too.
Yeah,
on the fucking pod.
but coming from like such a small town, like especially at that time, like
Well, we talked about the priest, right?
Yeah, we talked about the priest.
Yeah.
But no one.
No. Like episode what, 3, 4?
I don't know. Just listen to them all, girl. At this point, girl. If you haven't listened to all of them, what are you doing?
Please.
But yeah, like so there wasn't a whole lot of opportunities, especially like and going to Catholic school too. It's just like that no one was out, and like since then, yeah, some of them have come out, or like some of them are very clearly gay and they're just in denial about it. Mm-hmm. But it's just like none of them were like willing to like test the waters, and at that point, like I knew what I looked like. I was not like a hot. I was not like a hot little twink that was like that could like slurp dick and like be like the fantasy that everyone wanted. Like I was kind of like a big ogre. Like unfortunately,
no, you were sweet.
I was pimply, very overweight, just like, and I was not that there's anything wrong with that, but like it was not the fantasy I think for a lot of people,
right? I get what you're saying.
And I was a femme queen, you know, so it's just like all those things were kind of working against me, especially for like the hot dudes, because then like the hot dudes were one of those mask like locker room like athletes that they all were on the sports teams with, which unfortunately I did not fit that archetype. So like I didn't get to do the like little experimenting with them like a lot of people that I know got to in high school, which is like fine because I got my little foreign exchange student experience, and then I was like, okay, that's great.
I mean, for me, it wasn't like I was in Euphoria High School and I was just being like, yeah, I'm a fat.
No, but like,
give me your cam. But it was more like I was just, you know, like not necessarily the popular kid, but I was in popular circles. So
I was popular for sure.
Well, I was popular for sure, but like I wasn't hanging out with like the footballers and the cheerleaders, but I would be in the popular circle. So like my friend Elissa, we just cut. I didn't want to just dox her fully, but my friend Elissa, who
look her up on Instagram,
who now is like she knows like a crazy Trump Jesus person, but she still loves my content. Can you believe?
Yeah,
like, I still see her like recently, like I think last year or something. She like slid in my DMs, being like, "Oh my god, I love your fucking your videos are so funny," and she used to call me Pedro all the time.
Oh, not the macro aggression.
But I mean, at that point, I remember like Napoleon Dynamite was like a big movie.
That's gonna make it better.
Oh, no, bitch. Okay, you got drugged and fucking like abused. Okay, shut up, bitch. Let me tell my story. Okay,
I'm just saying that it's not okay.
I understand it's not okay. Now
you're a victim
in today's eyes, and also I was just being facetious. Napoleon Dynamite was not a movie that was trending when I was in school at all. Like,
I vividly remember the first time I saw that. I watched that with my entire extended family. They rented it. I watched that movie with my grandma.
What?
I will never forget my grandma's house.
That's an odd movie to watch just on your own as a growing teen.
We were visiting my grandma, and my uncle was like, I rented this movie from the video store, let's all watch. We also had my grandma's living room as an entire extended family, and all watched it together. I will never forget that. I don't know. I literally was like, why are we watching this? But I like I lived. I lived.
It was so funny because Elissa would pick me up in her Escalade because she was one of those girlies. She had like a huge black Escalade. Like, you know, she was like a rich bitch.
Oh, okay.
And she would always pick me up, and she would have like bottles of vodka in her car, in her Escalade. And she would like, get in, Pedro. And she would be like, what's up, fucking Pedro? She's like, oh my god, like, but she knew like my name or whatever. Like everyone knew.
Right, she's racist.
But she was just but she was like whatever. Like, you remind me. Like she was just. To be honest, like. In her context, like even in today's world, like for example, well, I wouldn't allow you to call me Pedro.
I wouldn't do that to begin with.
I would, but it would be. I honestly, there are certain people in which you can like, you know, like we can call each other faggots, right? Because like we're friends. But like if somebody else calls me a faggot and I don't know them, I'm just like, what? What's your deal? You know? Like there's like certain levels of like even between like I'm sure like black people or like brown people, like we can call each other spics or whatever, and like yeah, we're just being like silly, you know? Like when did you swim over? You know? Like we can make that kind of commentary. Elissa Bennett was not brown; she was white,
right?
But she was also like a really popular girl on the opposite end, because you know there were the popular girls. There's like two types of popular girls in school. They're like the cheerleader girls, the blondes or whatever, and then there's also like the other one, the slutty girls who are just like you know, like always doing like drugs and like drinking, like that kind of popular girl. And like she was that, and like, you know, in the same popular circles, but like she was just like they were like the edgy, cool, like, you know, like kind of like the Megan Fox's character on fucking like fucking with Amanda Seyfried.
Jennifer's Body.
Yeah, she was kind of that. Actually, Elissa from high school, my fucking best friend for like a year and a half, and she was
constantly had microaggressive comments towards you.
But she's
your best friend.
But she like bought me like. She was a great friend. I just don't think she had the wherewithal to understand what she was doing with a microaggression.
Sure, I think she just probably thought she was being funny.
Yeah,
but
and I mean, of course, in today's world, it's just like, well, you know, like even though you think you're being funny, you're being whatever. But at that point, like, I can tell you first and foremost from experience, like, thought she was being funny. But anyway, long story short, like, Miss Elissa was so fucking wild. She would pick me up in her Escalade, be like, okay, Petra, like, here, let's chuck some fucking Grey Goose. And we'd be like, okay. And then she would, like, drive drunk. I remember one time we went to, like, Gaddyland, which was, like, a pizza place, and, like, she, like, had to throw up on the side of the fucking car.
I'm sorry, you got into a car with a drunk woman behind the wheel?
Yes.
And were you not scared?
No, because she was a good driver, actually. It was so wild. It was wild. And, I remember one time.
That is insane. I would have had a panic attack.
I remember one time. Oh, I know. I was like, I literally was Amanda Seyfried's character on Jennifer's Body, because, like, at one point I remember we were driving. We were on our way to a party, but she was like, let's go grab dinner. And then we're gonna, like, get drunk, and then we're gonna go to the party. And I was like, okay. So, like, she picks me up. She's like, get in, you fucking loser. And then so we get in there. We start drinking, like, Grey Goose out of the bottle, literally, from her car. And then I remember at one point she, like, had to park. She needed to go into, like, a well-known coffee establishment, which Nick won't let me mention, but, like, a well-known coffee establishment that ends with Bucks, and she needed to use their restroom. And so I remember she was like, oh my god, bro, I'm gonna fucking piss my fucking puss. Like, she was always like that. She was like, I'm gonna fucking piss myself. And I was like, oh my god, no, girl, don't piss yourself. And she was like, I need to go into a bathroom. So she was like, oh my god, let's go into, like, the coffee shop. And I remember in front of us there was a cop car, a legit cop car,
and she was driving drunk in front of them.
And guess what? She was like, they're taking forever. She honked at the cops. She was like, beep beep, like, come on, move, fucking losers. Literally, and I was like, and then she drove, and then she literally, like, so the cops were in front of us. They weren't turning fast enough. She turned before they turned, and then turned around to look at them, and she was like, she, like, did the whole, like, hot girl, like, and the cops literally didn't say anything to her.
I could never be friends with her.
Hot
I would have
girl privilege.
I would have died. I would have had a heart attack.
And I was like, oh my god, all right, oh my god. And then she was like, oh my god, do you want to do some Adderall with me today, some Oxycontin? Like, she was just like, wow. But then she would also, like, she would always, like, if anyone, like, even at the remote, like, there were, like, a couple football players or jocks who, like, at parties sometimes would try to come for me and, like, tease me or whatever. And Elissa would be like, what the fuck are you saying about Peru? I'm gonna fucking kill you. Like, nobody would mess with her. She was known to get into girl fights. Like, she would literally be the girl who's like, during lunch, meet me at lunch. Like, Elissa was meet me at lunch girl, because she would get into fights with girls who, like, were trying to come for her. One time she got in trouble because during lunch she fucking kicked a girl's head into the curb.
Those things never happened at my high school.
My high school was Euphoria High School in a way, but, like, not as glamorized, and with the sex, not everyone was having that much sex, but the partying and everything else literally was my high school experience. And I would just be like, okay. And I remember one time, like, my other friend Amanda from my class was like, oh my god, like, you're, like, rolling deep with these people. And I was like, I saw Elissa picking you up, like, on the Escalade. And I was like, she didn't show up to school today. And I was like, yeah, I know. she literally
she crashed.
She crashed, and she came to school the day that she fucking decided to not go to school, and picked me up on her car. She was like, let's go. And I was like, okay.
That is crazy. I was too much of a goody two-shoes to ever be friends with anybody like that or do anything like that. That is, like, God, so crazy to me.
Yeah, I have a story for the next time on the pod, because we gotta go. But the next time I'll tell you a story of when Elissa and I went to, like, a college party. Girl, it was like when Sydney Sweeney's character in Euphoria goes to that college party, with her, like, her then boyfriend or whatever.
From first season?
From first season. It was getting that. I remember being like, what? Like, it was like a huge frat college party at UTPB. And I remember being with Elissa. Oh my God, the things that I could have gotten in trouble for hanging out with her. But I love her.
Went to one. Because I went to NYU, as stated earlier in this episode. So like our version of parties are very different than, like, the standard, I think, cultural idea of what a college party is, because like we're in New York City, there aren't, like, frat houses and stuff, and so I never had that experience until I, like, had finished my first year, my freshman year, and then I came back home, and the university in my hometown, like, still had a week of classes left, and so my friend, one of my really good friends, Emily, went to that school, and she was like, oh, there's a house party or whatever this weekend. She's like, you want to come with me? And I was like, yes, finally my first college party. So fucking lame. I I literally was
everyone was like eating cheese and crackers.
I mean, it was a full party, and there were so many people there. But like, first of all, the music choices. Abhorrent. Like, what? Why are we listening to R. Kelly, girl? He's so over,
girl.
And then also just like the straight dudes who got drunk and they're like like just like being so like obnoxious. I was like, I'm sorry. And then like there are girls in the corner being like, oh my god, like, oh, they're so hot. I'm like, I'm sorry, do you have worms in your brain? Like, do you see, like, I literally, after my, like, living in New York for, like, 1 full year, I was like, I'm so above these people. I was like, I'm cultured, I'm intellectual, I'm artistic, creative, and what are you? Trash. I was such a cunt.
During college, but during high school, you didn't go to, like, any of, like,
No, I didn't get, like, because the people who partied at my high school kept that shit under wraps because my school was so small. Because the girlies who did party, there was a huge drama because the art teacher at my high school, who was obsessed with me, she was like, I don't support gay marriage, but I went to art school, so I know a lot of gay people and I have a lot of gay friends. I just don't support gay marriage. I was like, work, diva, you better. And so she would gossip all the time with her students, me included, about like other students, which was a huge issue, and like she probably should have gotten fired for that. But during prom, our senior year, as people were leaving, she was one of the chaperones, and she was like, don't go to Andrea and Lauren's after because they're going to be drinking, just so you know, and you could lose your because then you could get suspended from sports,
of course.
And so then that was like a whole thing, and so she was actively like warning people as they were leaving my school, like to like leaving prom or whatever, and it caused a whole issue where these two girls then went up to her and were like sobbing, and they're like, why are you saying this about us? It's not the truth. And she's like, that's not what I heard. That's not what I heard. And mind you, they fully were gonna go have like a house party and get drunk and like whatever, but they were like, why are you spreading lies about us, and like crying their eyes out, and we were all like, ooh, gag. But anyway, they kept that shit under wraps, otherwise shit like that was gonna happen. So like none of us, my friends, unfortunately, like, we didn't drink or whatever, because also like my one friend Caleb, who would be like the main I'll wrap this up really quick, but he would be the one who would host all the time because he had like he had like he was his like basically an only child. He had an older sister who was like at that point in college, and like his parents were like, oh yeah, come hang out at our house, we have a whole basement, it's like a whole, like they had a full bar, like whatever, but like we didn't drink. But he would host, but then like everyone would be like goody two shoes kind of thing, so like no one would ever drink and stuff. Everyone was too good to do that. And
so funny. Meanwhile, we were like crashing Graham Central Station, which was like the club in my hometown in Odessa, Texas, like crashing it at like 16, 17 with Elissa and like my other friend Amanda. We just crash in there, like she would like know the bouncers, you know. They're like, oh, here's Elissa, let's get her in, you know. Me was just flat out literally 17 getting into the club.
Well, and also I couldn't either because like my parents had such a strict curfew for me. Like I had to be home by like 10 o'clock each night.
Yeah, my curfew was midnight or 12:30 at the latest.
Never
but then,
for me.
But then I would come home and I would just sneak out.
Oh, I couldn't sneak out.
So my friends would like from our backyard, like there was like a, you know, the suburbs, you know, like all the houses are facing forward, but then in the back, like everyone's backyards like have like the little roads, the side roads or whatever.
Sure.
So I would sneak out the window. My friends would pick me up on the side roads. I would just climb the back fence.
Oh, I was too nervous to ever sneak out because like my parents would check. My parents would like wait until like we were all in bed sleeping until like go to bed, or there's just like no way for me to sneak out. I snuck out once and I wasn't even counted as sneaking out because my mom was aware that it was happening. My dad was just the only one who didn't know. Oh, so then like, and she's like, your dad can't find out or you're gonna get in so much trouble, and I was like, ah! But then like it's because I got my wisdom teeth taken out, and there was a going away party for the foreign exchange student who I was in love with, and then I was like hopped up on Vicodin. Your first love. I was hopped up on Vicodin, and then I got to that fucking party. Everyone's like, why the fuck are you here? You just had oral surgery. And I was like, who wants to see me do the splits? Yeah! And I would drop into the splits by the bonfire, and everyone would be like, yeah! Okay, party trick. No, literally, we're flexible. What's your what's the stuff?
Yeah, y'all, let's get I actually should have started with this, but I didn't. Did we do well, I don't think we did. Oh, this actually happened. Yeah, we didn't. But shout out to a few people. I should have done this at the very top of the show, but like if you're sticking around to the very end of the podcast or the visual learning on YouTube, thank you so much for doing so, and we are reading all of your stuff. Let's give a few shout outs to town people for being responsible people and like spreading the gospel of the pod.
Period.
Shout out to Evan. Love your podcast so much. I watch on YouTube, Visual Learner, nose emoji, but just hopped over to Apple Podcasts and gave you 5 stars and shared with my hookup. He loves it too. LOL.
Oh my god.
Evan. Oh my
Thank
god.
you.
Thank you, Evan. And hookup, honestly, let us know if they're converted townspeople, because if so, you should marry.
Yeah, if you're getting dick down, share the good news with your dick.
Share the good news, and if the hookup likes the pod, marry that hookup, marry that person. Also, shout out to
We'll officiate.
Yeah, officiate. Shout out to Maria from Vienna.
Oh, Vienna.
Yes,
Vienna waits
she's
for you.
A big fan of Maria from Vienna. Also, to Nathaniel, hey girlies, let's be real, it's probably Peru reading this and not Nick. People just caught on to that.
Well, every episode we say that I don't read my DMs,
which is true. Anyway, love the pod since day one. As a visual learner, I'm watching this week's episode as I'm typing this kissy emoji, peace emoji.
Thank you.
Just wanted to let you know that I'm being a responsible townsperson and spreading the word across the globe, including to my best friend Marcus all the way in Hong Kong.
My uncle lives there.
Really? Oh my god. If you can get a shout out, that would make us both of our weeks. So shout out to Marcus and Marcus in Hong Kong, and Nathaniel. Keep up the great work. The pod is my highlight every Monday, and let's go international, baby. Hearts emojis all around. Nate from Montreal, Canada. Oh my god. Love you. Love you so much. Hope Marcus is thriving in China.
Well, Hong Kong isn't.
Oh, sorry, for Hong Kong.
It's its own. Yeah, girl. The politics there actually are like.
The whole point is that they're not China.
Right.
So hello to Hong Kong and any of Hong Kong listeners.
Shout out to my uncle Han. He's there right now. He needs heart surgery, so say prayers.
Oh my god, please prayers, thoughts and prayers. And then I think that was and I have one more, and then we literally have to go. I just want to make sure that people feel listened to. Yes. I got a hi from from Effie. Hiya, Pioneer Peru and Trailblazer Nick. I know that most probably Miss Peru will read this. Ha 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 ha.
Real.
My name's Effie for short. I just wanted to genuinely thank you two. I just stumbled upon you two on my YouTube feed last year, I think, and from that moment on, I just kept watching this channel. You two are one of the reasons I started a YouTube channel where I talk about things either alone or with people around my circle. You two somehow pushed me to do it, and I just want to thank you both. As a doll from Macau, China, it's not easy being a cunt bitch here. Not to mention, I find it hard to express what I truly feel, so in a way, I do think that it's a good idea for me to practice expressing thy cunty self. I'm a viewer and supporter from Macau, and just wanted to be honest with you two, to wish you the very best in your careers and to see you two grow gayfully, and thank you so much.
Oh, did they link their YouTube? Should we shout their YouTube?
No, but I did. If you're listening to this, Effie, I did respond to you. If you want to share whatever YouTube,
we'll shout you out.
We'll shout you out. Put the link for all the townspeople to be able to see it. But you're a doll from Macau, China, and that is incredible. Keep dolling it. Keep being a diva cunt bitch.
And keep working towards that. Keep working towards superstardom,
which is inevitably gonna happen for you, I can tell, but just keep rocking it down wherever your actual town is. Just keep spreading the gospel of this town.
The town keeps growing,
and we're super excited. We're gonna be seeing you tonight. We already actually would have seen you, but I'm excited to preemptively and in a weird Back to the Future way excited to Pioneer. Honestly, this Instagram live we're doing tonight, our first live town hall, I am very excited to just interact with whoever shows up and just like be girlies and dollies and cutesies.
My Trailblazer is gonna be Eternal Sunshine, Miss Ariana Grande's new album.
Oh my god!
I listened to it.
Talk about being a basic bitch.
No, shut up. It's actually really good. I listened to it, obviously, right at midnight when it dropped, and let's just say it is a really good body of work.
Alex right now is screaming.
No,
hey Alex.
I love you, Alex. No, there's something about it. I was listening to it and I was like, this is what I really needed to hear.
Oh, and Robert.
Like right there in that moment. Like this album really encapsulates what I'm feeling currently. Like, so it came at the perfect time, and I think it's really good, and I've been listening to it nonstop today.
Well, so get ready, because we're about to listen to it for the next fucking 3 months in the gay bars.
No, shout out to Miss Ari. I've always been a fan of her, even when she was home wrecking. Right. I support home wrecking, so
listen, this is
as someone who's home wrecked.
Sometimes you find love in different ways. And that's all I have to say.
Yeah, and so everyone's on their own journey.
Yes, their own journey. Please follow us at Pioneers and Trailblazers on YouTube and on Instagram and TikTok. And if you want to see more of our individual things, follow me at Hey Peru on Instagram and on TikTok.
And you can follow me on Instagram at nicholas.rose, clownfacebinch on TikTok, and clownfacebitch on Twitter/X.
And guess what? We're literally about 100 or so, maybe less by now, away from reaching 1,000 on Spotify, which is our milestone we want to reach by Pride. And YouTube keeps growing. Keep sharing those YouTube videos for people.
We're close to 600 subscribers, which is huge.
Which is great. And so we're about to we are strategizing on sharing more videos with the townspeople on social media, so you guys have fun stuff to share. But just keep supporting us, keep commenting, and then we'll just keep doing our darnest.
Bye.